what is the cost of cutting corners in food service design, i.e. budget cutting, i.e. the term we all hate, VE, value engineering, which is a misnomer. There are things that are not equal in our industry, even though there'll be some firms who will say or equal or an equal. Those things don't really exist. You're always giving up something, whether it's efficiency or production or all of those things. I will give you a prime example. We have a very, very, very wealthy developer client, extremely, probably one of the wealthiest people in the world who are developers. We've done a couple of hotel projects for them. We just did a gigantic resort for them that just reopened. And during the process of that resort, they started to look at, okay, we're gonna cut costs. And I wrote the client an email because we had just finished another hotel for them where they value engineered some of the equipment, they cut costs, and I was lucky enough, fortunate enough for them too, that they invited us to an opening that had a party in their ballroom. So we went a little bit early just to kind of walk through and see how things were going. Walk into the ballroom and there's a couple of people in there. And when I talked about like the storage of glass racks and the stack of glass racks, there was a sea of glass racks in this ballroom waiting there so they could set the tables. And there were two people in there grabbing each rack out of the glass, hand drying it and putting it back. They didn't know who I was, so I walked up and I'm like, hey, how's it going? Hey, if you don't mind me asking, what are you guys doing? Oh, well, we're drying off the glasses. And I'm like, drying them off, why are they wet? They said, oh, well, we run them through the dishwasher before an event, but the dishwasher doesn't get them dry. And I said, really? I said, well, you would think that your washing machine, I have one at home and my stuff comes out, it's clean and it's, yeah, we have to do this. And I said, well, I'm curious. How often do you do this? Or how long does it take? They said, all of these are going to take the two of us probably 4 or 5 hours. And I said, wow. I said, how often do you have to do this? They said, every day. And I kept that little nugget with me, just just for general information. And when this value engineering came up on the other project that we were doing with them, I sent the client an email, and I'm actually getting ready to write a story about the true cost of cutting costs. And one of the examples I gave them was this example of their employees. And I said, if I take two people working 4 or 5 hours a day, every day, 360 days a year with some holidays, and you're paying them a minimum of $12 or $15 an hour, not only could you have bought the dish machine that we specified, you could have bought another 1.5 for spare parts on the 1 year of extra labor that you're paying that you now have to pay for the life of this hotel until you change out the dish machine. So in my mind, that's, getting your design team in those cost-cutting, value engineering sessions, there's a ripple effect to that can be incredibly costly forever versus kind of a first-in cost impact.